From the lowest to the highest, from the furthest to the nearest, from the smallest of the smallest to the greatest of the greatest, yoga is about all of life, everything we do, all of existence. My name's James Bogue. Welcome to the Whole Life Yoga Podcast. Today, the first podcast of 2026, I will speak about Gaṇeśa, the Lord of Beginnings, and one of the most popular deities in the Indian pantheon. I'm in India right now, a place that is renowned for having millions of gods. And amongst those gods, Gaṇeśa holds a very special place for many reasons. Gaṇeśa, in Indic practice, is the one who is always invoked first. The one who is always worshipped first, if ever there is to be any type of worship. Now, there are many reasons for this, some of which we will touch on. My main idea here in this episode is to address a question that was put to me the other day. I was teaching about Gaṇeśa, and one of the students who had been reciting a mantra to Gaṇeśa for some time and had a very clear sense of affinity with this mantra had been looking online to find out more about what it was really invoking. I was going to say to find a translation, but there's a problem when we want to translate a mantra, because a mantra cannot really be translated. The Sanskrit language, the well-made, well-structured, well-put-together language, the language that encodes and distills so many of the teachings of yoga, it defies translation in so many instances, and no more so than in the case of mantras, which distill so much. So yes, one can begin to give an interpretation on a practical level of what a mantra may invoke or suggest or mean, but it's always only a beginning. The very practice of the mantra is intended to help that mantra reveal the many layers of deeper meaning that it is a portal to, that it is a conduit towards. Now, when it comes to Gaṇeśa, there are many mantras. Perhaps one of the most familiar ones is Om Gam Gaṇapataye Namaha, Om Gam Gaṇapataye Namaha. Om, which means everything. When we are giving a broad brushstroke overview of what a mantra means, the mantra Om is a good example of how mantras defy translation. The very first sound of Om is the first sound we can possibly make. The very last sound is the last sound we can possibly articulate. And so Om symbolizes, from the first to the last and everything in between, it symbolizes everything. Gum is a bija mantra, and bija means seed. And it's the seed of the energy that is invoked, represented, symbolized by Gaṇeśa or Gaṇapati. So Gaṇeśa and Gaṇapati are the same. Gaṇa plus Isha, Gaṇa plus Pati. Isha means the one that can command, that can lead, that can bring together, that can unify, that can direct. And Pati, similarly, the Lord, the one that can bring together, that can lead, that can connect. So Gaṇeśa and Gaṇapati is the name of the one that can bring together, that can lead, that can connect all of the gaṇas. So Gaṇeśa is the Lord of the gaṇas. Gaṇapati is the Lord of the gaṇas. What is a gaṇa? Gaṇa is such a beautiful word. It comes from the root gun, which means to count or enumerate. So a gaṇa is a unit, something that can be counted, a part, a member of a collective or a group. And gaṇa can also mean the whole group, all the constituent parts, all the constituent elements. So the gaṇas, one way we can understand gaṇas, these are the different constituent elements of our being. These are the different aspects of our broader, fuller self. These are the different parts of which we are made up. These are the units that constitute the wholeness of our being, and Gaṇeśa, Gaṇapati, is the energy that brings them all into unity, into cohesion, into wholeness, into beautiful, dynamic reconciliation and equilibrium, harmony, symphony. This is the energy of Gaṇeśa. Now, the form of Gaṇeśa is very striking. It's rather unusual. He has this huge elephant's head, and he has a lower body of a human with a big belly. Now, when people see the elephant's head on the human lower body, and maybe they hear the story of how Gaṇeśa became, that he was a young youth, and then he put this huge elephant's head on him, people think, wait a minute, that's rather fanciful. If we put a huge elephant's head on a human spindly little skeleton, the thing would collapse, it would get crushed, it would fall over. And yet Ganesha, he's a very graceful creature, like an elephant. Elephants are so graceful. If you had the chance to ride on one, it's such a beautiful experience. They're so graceful. Ganesha glides around, he likes to dance, he likes the sweet, fine things in life, he appreciates the arts. He's not at all clumsy, he's in no danger of falling over. He is a master of equipoise, balance and dynamic harmony. No chance he's falling over or collapsing. And so the form, which at first glance seems impossible according to the laws of physics and logic, the form is so instructive. It is there as an active, palpable reminder. Many things that defy the laws of physics or logic are actually possible. The form of Ganesha is there as an overt reminder. Hey, human being, remember, so many of your limitations, they are just false beliefs, false notions, ill-conceived ideas that chain you to limitations that are not representative of the wholeness you really are. But if you bring yourself together, if you come into a more Ganesha, unified, yogic state, then things that previously seemed impossible, that seemed beyond your capacities, become very realizable, very achievable, become normal. This is the power of yogic practice. What do I mean by yogic practice? I don't mean doing some particular technique. I mean doing what we are doing with all the members of the gang joined up, with all our units supporting one another, with all the parts of the whole cohering. This is the energy of yoga. This is the energy of Ganesha. And when we do that, we often discover that we are greater than the sum of our parts, that we are more than we previously thought we were. And so our previous limiting ideas and conceptions, our small ego mind conception of who we are, can get dissolved, obliterated, removed. In a sense, our egoic identity of who I am, that old sense of identity, it gets its head chopped off and gets replaced with a vaster one, symbolized, for example, by the elephant's head. The elephant who has the huge ears, who is attuned to a vaster frequency of possibility, who can listen deeply, subtly to the pulsing reality of existence beyond all the miasma of our surface, often deluding ideas. And this brings us to another of the aspects about Ganesha. This is the aspect that prompted me to share this podcast episode today. The student I mentioned, she'd been rather frustrated because every time she tried to find out more information about the mantra she was singing, it always just said, oh, the remover of obstacles, Ganesha, remover of obstacles. Now, Ganesha as remover of obstacles, there is no doubt that this is one of the reasons why Ganesha is amongst the most popular deities or representations of totality. Now, I mentioned here in India there are millions of gods, countless gods, and yet the Indic reality is not polytheistic. In the Indic perspective, God is one and God is everywhere and everything. In other words, there is nowhere God is not. In other words, God is beyond limit. Ultimate reality is beyond limit. The consciousness within which everything exists is not limited. It is the container within which everything exists. And so, if we are going to represent that ultimate reality in a form, then the form is not it. And this is represented so beautifully. For example, you can go to a temple in India. Let's say the temple is a temple dedicated to Lord Śiva, and there is a linga as a symbol, a sign of Śiva, that in which everything exists, that in which everything lies, the always auspicious ultimate source of consciousness. But within that same Śiva temple precinct, it's highly likely, quite probable, you might also find iconography or murtis, icons, forms of Mother Divine, who is also a sign, symbol of totality. She is the source of all. One of her names in Sanskrita is Ma, which means mother, but which also means no, symbolizing she is no thing. She is beyond all things. She is the source of all things. She is the womb in which everything exists. And at that same temple, we might find iconography associated with Viṣṇu and Nārāyaṇa. We might find characters from Mahabharata and Ramayana. We might find the Navagraha. We might find the 9 planets. Because The Indic perspective is one that recognizes the pragmatism, the practicality, the reality of manyness, because this is the realm of Maya. Maya, you might have heard this word, Maya Shakti. People talk about it as the power of delusion. But what it means more basically, more foundationally, Ma is no thing and Ya is many things. It's the paradox of the one source, the whole, and the manyness that is experienced within them. Now, the source of consciousness within which everything exists, this is represented in many different ways in the Indic tradition. But there are 6 forms of ultimate reality that are considered to be representations of the whole. And those are Śiva, Śakti or Mother Divine, Viṣṇu or Nārāyaṇa, and then we have Gaṇapati or Gaṇeśa, Skanda, Ganesha's brother, also known by many other names, as they all are, but Skanda is known as Murugan, for example, in Tamil Nadu. That's one of his most popular names down there. But he's also known as Subrahmaṇya, Kārtikeya, and so on. And there is Sūrya, the sun. And all of these 6, they are more prominent in different parts of India, but they all have hymns to them which describe them as containing all of those other qualities that are associated perhaps more immediately with any of the other 5. But all 6 of them are considered adequate representations of ultimate reality, of the source consciousness from which everything emerges, within which everything experiences, within which all of creation manifestation unfolds. And Gaṇapati, Gaṇeśa, is one of those forms. Now, the mantra that my student friend wanted to ask about is a mantra that describes Gaṇeśa as a Vakratunda Mahakaya. Vakratunda means he has a trunk, a tunda that is vakra, that is curved, that spirals, and he has this big belly. Ganesha is famous for his lambodara, his big belly. There's many, many layers of rich suggestion to this symbolism, but because he has a big belly, in this mantra he is Vakratunda Mahakaya. He's the one who has the curved, spiraling trunk, and he has the Mahakaya. Kaya means body, Maha, vast, great. He is great-bodied. In other words, he is standing here as a symbol of the vast body of existence itself. And how is this existence? It is Vakratunda. It's not a straight line, it's a spiraling existence. Manifestation is in dynamic motion, symbolized also, for example, by the icon of Śiva, Ganesha's father, as Nataraja, the lord of the dance, who is balanced on one leg, but is pirouetting so fast that his hair is streaming out on the horizontal plane, and yet he is in serene balance and equipoise because he demonstrates this dynamic equilibrium that pulsates at the heart of all of this spiraling, whirling wonder. This spiraling, whirling wonder that's represented by Śiva, Viṣṇu, Ma Śakti, Gaṇeśa, Skanda, and the sun. But here we're talking about Gaṇeśa and why he gets called the remover of obstacles. So, Vakratunda Mahakaya, he has a curved, spiraling trunk. He has a great body. He is the body of existence itself. He is like this womb, the container of existence. Sūrya Koti. And he shines forth. He is impregnated with the effulgence of 10 million suns. Surya Koti Samaprabha. And yet, when he shines with an effulgence, a brightness, a lust that's the equivalent of 10 million suns, it also, we can understand, we can infer, it's like he also has the coolness of 10 million moons. So we can, when we visualize him like this, we can enjoy looking at his tawny, lustrous form, even though if we saw the full thing at once, what he really represents, it would be too much. It's beyond what we can see with our human eyes, because it's the equivalent of 10 million suns. And yet when he's represented in the form of Gaṇeśa, this renders that effulgent light of consciousness such that we can begin to interact with it and relate to it in a practical way. Nirvignam kuramedeva. So nirvignam means Vighna is an obstacle, an impediment, without impediment, without blockage, without obstacle. Kuru, this is the imperative of the verb form kra, to do, make. Deva, O God, O shining one, O Ganesha, you who shine with the effulgence equivalent to 10 million suns, you who are the vast body, the very womb of existence itself, you who have the curved spiraling trunk, make it so, nirvignam, that my path is without vighna, without impediment, without obstacle. Sarvakaryeshu, sarvada. Sarvakaryeshu, in all my actions, in all my activities, sarvada, always, in all directions, all around, wherever I am. So yes, this mantra, Vakratunda Mahakaya, Surya Koti Samaprabha, Nirviknam Kurame Deva, Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. It is asking Ganesha, as a representation of that which is beyond representation, as a representation of the consciousness that is the source of everything itself, that's the source of us, that's our subtlest essence. It's asking that intelligence come forth and help us move along the highways and byways and spiraling, whirling ways of life in such a way that we do so without vighna, without impediment, without obstacle. However, what's really important to recognize here, yes, we're asking that our path be smooth, and we want to remove things that would get in out the way of our moving in the propitious, auspicious direction, for sure. However, it's very important to recognize, remember, when we're invoking Ganesha, when we're praying to Ganesha, when we're worshipping Ganesha, when we ask ultimate consciousness, God, a higher intelligence, an intelligence that's vaster than that which can be held, conceived by our own mind-ego complex, when we're asking that to remove obstacles, how will it do it? The very first part of the mantra, Vakratunda Mahakaya, it reminds us, this Mahakaya, within this body of manifest existence that emerges from the source that is consciousness, it manifests as Vakra, it manifests in spirals. This is not a straight or binary coded reality. It's not black and white. This is a realm of nuance, of all sorts of infinite variegated wonder. The path is not necessarily linear, it is Vakra. Now, imagine you have a hose pipe. Sometimes, the elephant with its trunk, it will suck up the water and spray it out. If you have a hose, when you're watering your garden, for example, if you've got a hose pipe and you want to water some plants, if the hose is kinked, the water can get stuck and it can sputter or get blocked. Whereas if it's smoothly curved, then the water can continue to flow, even though it's not in a straight line. This, I would suggest, is much more what it means to ask for our obstacles to be transformed. May our path not be kinky, may it not be jagged, may it not be like cutting from one direction to the other in an inefficient way. Can it be vakra? Can it spiral smoothly? Because the reality is, when we take recourse to that higher intelligence and we ask to remove obstacles, the reality is that many of the obstacles that we want to be removed, they are tendencies, patterns, habits that we are actually holding within ourselves. And so in order for us to remove those, our current understanding of who we are has to wrestle with the reality that we've been getting in our own way, we've been creating our own obstacles, and we have to leave behind the obsolete self-blocking tendencies so they can be replaced with more auspicious tendencies, more auspicious habits, we might say. And so it's quite possible that if we pray to Ganesha, we might find we feel a bit blocked, we feel a bit frustrated. Why? Because that higher intelligence, our own deep, sincere desire to actually move forwards in a more coherent way is going to bring us into contact with the very type of challenge or obstacle that's going to help us reconfigure our way of being in the world so we can leave behind the path-blocking pattern and actually advance on the sweet course of our own authentic, appropriate evolution into the fuller expression of the unique beauty that we actually are. So, yes, we want to remove unnecessary obstacles, but that doesn't mean that if we pray to Ganesha, that life will suddenly become a straight line onwards without any difficulty, without any challenge. Not at all. When we practice yoga, the reality is that after a little while, our life will not get necessarily easier. It will actually get more challenging, because what is yoga practice? What is yoga sadhana? It is the active request of existence to accelerate the clearing of our own limiting karmas. And we'll be able to move through obstacles more smoothly. Why? For many reasons. Because as we practice yoga, we practice meeting reality with more of ourselves. And so the reality is, the lived experience is, that obstacles, difficulties, challenges that would previously have overwhelmed me or derailed me or left me completely blocked 5 years, 10 years, 20 years before, through the gifts, the fruits of sincere, steady, ongoing practice, those things just feel like smooth, ongoing progress, because I'm able to navigate them more steadily, more calmly, and relatively speaking, much more quickly than before. And I can make my way through challenges without getting so bogged down or disheartened. And yoga works because when we bring ourselves into togetherness, how does that feel? When our thought, word, and action are all lined up, it feels wonderful. It's self-affirming, it's a self-propelling path. When I bring myself into that more cohesive state, it's like, yes. When I feel my thought, my word, my action all lined up, it doesn't feel strange. It just feels like, yes, this feels like home. It feels very agreeable through all the layers of our being. And so as all the ganas, all the members of the gang of our being have the experience of being together, they start to realize this togetherness, this is better than being in that disparate, dispersed, fragmented pattern that I've been used to. It's actually worth the effort of mobilizing all my internal forces to come together. And then I start to understand obstacles are not on the path, obstacles are the path, because the obstacle is the thing that helps us summon our deeper innate capacity for greater togetherness. So, Ganesha, yes, he is the remover of obstacles, but he's not just the remover of obstacles. He's known as Viṣṇeshwara. Ganesha, like all the other great representations, that which is beyond representation, has many names, more than 1,000. But one of the primary names, before he's the remover of obstacles, he is Viṣṇeshwara, the Lord of obstacles, the Lord and placer of obstacles. So when we start to engage with the energy of Ganesha, for sure, we are asking that our path becomes smoother, more fluent, more able to be moved along with more speed, more efficiency, more grace, more ease, more joy, for sure. But we're not really asking for our path to be cleared of obstacles. We're asking that we can move through the obstacles with clarity, with balance, with grace, with wisdom, with these qualities that are also represented and suggested by Ganesha's form of the wise old elephant and the enthusiastic youth. And when he reconcile those seemingly opposed, seemingly contradictory, actually mutually complementary forces, this is the power of yoga that helps us move along the highways and byways of life with more appreciation, with more joy, and with more efficiency. Now, a final note for today on Ganesha. Now, Ganesha is one of there's many favourite things I love to share about. I particularly enjoy working with the mythological realm of the Indic tradition. It's so rich, so practical. But one other thing I would like to mention is there's no doubt that Ganesha is very popular, just like Lakshmi. Many people are like, I'll pray to Lakshmi, I'll become wealthy. I pray to Ganesha, my path will be easy. And as I've suggested, Ganesha can help us make our life easier. But it doesn't mean that our life's going to be easy. It means we'll be able to move through the vicissitudes of life with greater calm, greater equipoise, and greater appreciation, recognizing that life is a playground, it's a schoolyard, it's a place where we can continue learning. And life wants us to experience and express our uniqueness, to learn more about the fullness of who we are. When all our different constituent parts come together, then we will bring forth something unique. Life wants that of us. Our soul wants to experience that. Our soul wants to express that. And the energy of Gaṇeśa is so beautifully supportive of that. Because when we come together in the full expression of who we are, then we will be a unique expression. We will bring something forth that nobody else has ever brought forth. Nobody else ever will. And this is one of the miracles of being a human. We're all very alike in so many ways, and yet we're all unique. We're all different as well in so many ways. But when we bring all the parts together, we actually learn to be comfortable in our uniqueness, in our aloneness, because we bring ourselves into a state of all oneness. And in that state of all oneness, we go beyond all loneliness, all sense of isolation, because in the state of all oneness we realize obstacles are not on the path. Everything is the path. Everything is one. There is no other. Now, that is not my lived day-to-day experience. I experience I'm here, the chair is there. However, as we keep practicing with the qualities of Gaṇeśa, which include this great compassion, this great kindness. One of Gaṇesha's names is Subrahmaṇya, the one who has this very pleasing, kind, beneficent aspect. When we meet ourselves and we meet life with eyes that see with compassion, when we meet ourselves with kindness, ready to forgive ourselves for our foibles and our stumblings, ready to recognize that when we fall down, when we encounter an obstacle, it's actually an opportunity to move forth in a new way, then we can start to harness some of this amazing energy that is represented by the Gaṇeśa principle. So, this is a topic I often speak on at much greater length. I'm actually planning to release a whole life yoga on-demand online program with recitation of the Gaṇeśa Stava hymn, some stories of Gaṇeśa, how he became, why he's worshipped first, an interpretation of those stories, and a yogic movement element, working with all the different members of the gang of our being, and how in a movement practice we can invite them to join the party of practice such that it is stimulating for our whole nervous system, renewing, rejuvenating, replenishing for the bodily vehicle, and so we can also help ourselves move more smoothly through the path of life, and also some simple meditative practices. So I'm still in the process of recording some of that material, but I aim to release that soon, so please keep your eyes and ears peeled, and if that appeals to you, I hope you will sign up and purchase it. And if you are keen to dive deep into the realm of Indic mythology, practical philosophy, I would urge you to consider joining my upcoming Spring 2026 Satsang course. It's going to be on the Bhagavad Gita. It will start the last week of February, and it will be 12 sessions taking an overview of the Bhagavad Gita, the miracle mirror text, that's perhaps the most treasured text of the yoga tradition. All the details for that are on my website, and you can sign up now. And if you sign up now, you'll have plenty of time to enjoy the several hours of pre-course material, including a 4-hour telling of the Mahabharata that I did in a previous Gita course. It's broken up into shorter videos, and some other videos on background to this extraordinary text of the Song of Totality that is the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this type of material, please, please, please like it, subscribe, and tell any friends you know who might like this type of whole life yoga content. What I'm trying to do is invite people into a much different understanding of yoga than that which has become prevalent in the world. So I'm trying to do something that isn't really that familiar to people. So the more people get exposed, the more that can help that effort. So any efforts on your side to spread the word, to invite people to consider this perspective is much appreciated on mine. Thank you for listening. And if there are things you would like me to address, don't hesitate to ask. I've been asked to talk more about the Bhagavad Gita, and one of my favorite verses That'll be probably the next episode. I've been asked to continue the Thanking the Teachers series. That's also coming soon. But please do be in touch. My email is james@jamesborgyoga.com, and let me know if there's more content you'd like me to share here. If you want to go deeper, you want to be part of a satsang, please don't hesitate. Join the Gita course. I'm pretty sure you'll have a great time. Namaste. Jai Shri Ganesha.